This child, this image, how long have you had this on your wall?
15 years. Why, do you know her?
That is me.
I had been working the overnight shift at the Transit Authority for 6 years, and in that time I had seen a considerable number of things that did not belong in the break room. Lost luggage. Confused pigeon. Once, memorably, a man in a full vintage diving suit who claimed he was waiting for a connecting train that had been discontinued in 1987. I had not, until the night of the 14th of October, seen an Elven princess in full silver armor standing in front of my locker pointing at a photograph on the wall. I should clarify. She was not pointing at just any photograph. She was pointing at the photograph. The one I had pinned there 6 years ago on my first day, the one I looked at every time I opened that locker, the one nobody had ever commented on because nobody had ever asked and I had never explained. A black and white picture of a little girl, maybe 8 or 9 years old, standing in a garden with her head slightly tilted, and an expression on her face like she was thinking about something much larger than the garden. The princess, and I was already thinking of her as that, though I did not yet know the word for what she was, turned when she heard me come in. Her eyes found me with the particular directness of someone accustomed to being the most significant person in any room she entered. "This child," she said. "Where did you get this image?" "I took it," I said, because it was true and because lying felt structurally impossible in front of eyes like hers. "About 15 years ago." She turned back to the photograph. Her gauntlet finger was still raised, not quite touching it, hovering an inch away from the paper like she was afraid of what contact might confirm. "That is not possible," she said. But she said it quietly, in the tone of someone who means it is not possible, and yet here we are. "My name is Kane Ellory. I work the overnight shift monitoring transit systems for the city's underground network. I live alone, keep strange hours. I have, over the course of 6 years of overnight shifts, developed the ability to remain calm in situations that would unsettle most people, because the underground at 3 in the morning produces a remarkable variety of situations. I was deploying that ability now. "Who are you?" Yes. She looked at me over her shoulder. Silver hair, pointed ears, armor that caught the break room's fluorescent light and turned it into something it had never been designed to be. A crown that looked like it had been grown rather than made, sharp points rising from the band like frozen lightning. "I am Elindra of the Vaerath," she said, "third daughter of the Conclave. And I would very much like to know how you have an image of me as a child." The answer required me to explain things I had not spoken aloud in 15 years. I had been 20 years old, doing a photography project for a class I was failing. I had gone to the Botanical Gardens on a Tuesday morning in October because the light was good and there were fewer people. I had been crouched behind a hydrangea bush, attempting to photograph a particularly cooperative bee when I had noticed the little girl standing at the edge of the path. She was alone in the way that some children are alone. Not lost, not frightened, simply existing in their own interior landscape with complete self-sufficiency. She was looking at something above the tree line. Her head was tilted. The expression on her face was one I had never been able to name precisely, but which I had thought about many times since. It was the expression of someone who already knew something important and was deciding what to do with the knowledge. I had taken one photograph. She had looked at me immediately after, as if she had felt the shudder. She had not seemed startled. She had simply looked at me for a moment with those pale eyes, and then she had walked away between the hedges and was gone. I had developed the photograph and pinned it to the wall of every workspace I had occupied since then. I did not know why exactly. It was the best photograph I had ever taken. But it was more than that. It was the expression. I had spent 15 years working overnight shifts in quiet buildings, and that photograph had kept me company in a way I had never examined too carefully. "The Botanical Gardens," Elindra said slowly when I had finished. "The Meridian Crossing. 15 years ago by your calendar. Yes. I was there, she said. My people use certain transit points on your world for passage between territories. The gardens were one of them. I was 12 years old. I had wandered from my escort. He paused. I remember a human crouching in the flowers with a device. That was me, I said. She looked at the photograph again. Then at me. You kept it, she said. Not an accusation. Something more careful than that. It was a good photograph, I said. You kept it for 15 years. Yes. On the wall of your workspace. Yes. She was quiet for a moment. The break room's fluorescent light hummed above us. Somewhere in the building, a distant train moved through a tunnel, and the walls carried the vibration of it. In the Maerith, Elindra said, there is a concept. Maerith. It translates approximately as a moment witnessed by the right person at the right time. A moment that would have been lost if not for the specific individual who happened to be present for it. She touched the frame of the photograph very lightly with one gauntlet finger. We believe that Maerith creates a connection, not metaphorical, structural. The witness carries something forward that the subject cannot carry themselves. I looked at the photograph, at the little girl with the tilted head and the expression I had never been able to name. What was she looking at? Yes. What were you looking at? Elindra turned to face me fully for the first time. The armor, the crown, the silver hair and the eyes that were exactly the same as the girl in the photograph. Just 15 years further along. There was a transit point opening in the sky above the tree line, she said. A door between territories. I had never seen one open from outside before. I was watching it close. I was thinking that it would open again. That things which close always open again, given sufficient time and the right conditions. I looked at her. She looked at me. That's what's in the photograph, I said quietly. That's the expression. Yes, she said. The break room was very quiet. The photograph on the wall had not changed.